So my name's Arti Ghattaora and I'm from UK but currently living in India in an ashram. I've been there for the last 7 years, so I'm sort of flitting between two countries. Yeah, so basically my training essentially is I'm a medical doctor trained in UK, and I worked clinically for quite a number of years and gave up my clinical practice around about 9 to 10 years ago. At that time I was sort of going through a transition in terms of where I wanted to take my career path. I wanted a more sort of holistic way of working, so I had looked into acupuncture, spent about 9 months in China, in Nanjing, and it opened up a kind of a vast plethora of looking at the human system and the human body. So that kind of gave me an inroad into how, you know, we can integrate different systems, because I was utilizing a lot of acupuncture for pain relief, and we were getting phenomenal results in reducing the number of analgesics down in people's bodies. So that took me into the next phase of looking at different traditional systems a little bit more intensely, and I came to Sanskrit, which is a traditional Indian language, is one of the oldest languages where a lot of the Indian sciences are written into. So I started looking into that and veered into Ayurveda, which again opened up a whole sort of bank of knowledge and a system which clearly we're not anywhere near in terms of the way it approaches the human body. And I liked it because it was a whole mind, body and the spirit paradigm collectively being utilized each moment when you're treating, as well as when you're looking at the system. And of course the understanding of nature, because we're utilizing herbs, we're utilizing metals from nature, and we're allowing people to ingest that in their body for the healing structure to happen. So these were all very, different systems for me to approach the human system on. I mean, I'd never ever thought that I look at a human body from the 5 elemental aspect, and to suddenly think, okay, I'm composed of 5 elements, and this is how my system is coordinating its journey through life with the sort of movement of these 5 elements. So that was a completely different way. And then, of course, going a little bit deeper into it, Ayurveda, as well as Chinese medicine, fundamentally gets to the root. But it's interesting, so you have a symptom, you're not necessarily symptomatically treating somebody, you're going as much as possible into the root. So the healing pathway takes longer, but that's because you're getting to the bottom of where it comes from, which I liked, because I thought that's it. This is where you reduce codependency and you allow an independent pathway to healing. Worked beautifully for me. So this whole journey then went into my own sense of the spirit, because there is no point practicing these systems unless you're connected into yourself. What does it mean to understand my 5 elements? What does it mean when I tweak them, change them? What does it mean when I take these medicines, when I take metals? A lot of people will freak when I tell them that I've taken mercury, which is purified. So I'm not taking a mercury sulfate, which is the toxic version, a purified version. These sciences have methods of purifying metals. So I've taken mercury and it stabilized my body amazingly. I'm not prescribing that to anybody, so people should not go out there and, take it. It has to be taken under supervision, it has to be taken under guidance, and it has to be dispensed by somebody who understands the qualities of mercury. But this is what comes with the teaching of Ayurveda. So I did a master's in Ayurveda. So I'm not an Ayurvedic doctor, I'm a practitioner, so let's be clear on that too. To be a doctor of Ayurveda, you have to go through 5 years of training, like medical school, and then you have to go through an internship. So a part of my training took me to 1 year in India, where I had to do my clinical training in order for me to practice in UK. I did that, and I was very fortunate to meet a guru, a teacher, an 84-year-old man who taught me how to look at the human system. I think I did a complete 360. I struggled initially because I have a very scientific head. I like to understand things with an evidence base, because this is my training. And suddenly I had to watch this man look at a human being walking into his clinic. He would not say a word, wouldn't touch him, wouldn't do anything, but would start prescribing herbs, would tell them to go away, come back in a week, 2 weeks, whatever. And he would watch what was going on in my brain, and he would say to me, you're being very skeptical, you don't think this will work, why don't you do a blood test to evaluate whether these things are working? He was always right. It was, for me, this was too much. How was he doing this? And he started going into his own journey of how mindfulness, a sense of being within, a sense of understanding nature, a sense of understanding his own body and how he treated himself, and then of course getting into these sciences and what it meant when he was transmitting. He was very clear. He says, I can't own this science. It's a transmission. You make yourself available, it will come through you. But you have to understand the basic principles. Without it, you can't really get into the bare bones of this. So this completely reevaluated where I was, and it made me go deeper and deeper within my own sense of spirit and my spirituality. What does it mean to be spiritual? It's not enough that I just sit and meditate every day, which is what I was doing. And I found my other guru, my spiritual guru, through that journey. And within finding him and going to the ashram was not a very long gap. It made absolute sense what this spiritual guru, his name is Sadhguru, it's part of the Isha Yoga Center, he gave me a sense of what it was to be a part of nature. How do I collect nature and bring it into this one so that I can really know how the rhythm of this one works with the pulse of everything that's outside. And he gave us practices, which meant, how to stay in this mindful state 24/7. What it is to understand my breath, what it is when I come into communion with somebody else to understand what their breath is doing with mine. When I meet somebody, what is that interaction? It's not language acquisition only. There is a communion which is happening between two beings. This all started taking this whole question of a holistic way of looking at the human body to another level for me. I was fortunate because my guru asked me to stay in the ashram, which I did, and I've been a full-time volunteer for the last 7 years. I work in a rejuvenation center where we've integrated 3 systems of Ayurveda, Yoga, and Siddha. Siddha is a traditional system which comes from Tamil Nadu. And what we've got therapeutic programs, as well as we've got relaxation programs for people. And they span over different measures of time, but we integrate these 3 systems, and the results we get are phenomenal. An additional impact is the fact that we're living in a consecrated space. I don't know if many people would understand what a consecrated space is. Basically, it's been energized. So my guru has this gift where even a piece of stone is energized to have a divine quality. He's able to do that. That's his gift. So there's no religion or anything associated with the ashram. There is just a very simple system of yoga and the energy paradigm which is being brought in. So what I realized that if you live in a consecrated space and you have a mind, body, spirit evaluation of yourself, the healing happens very quickly. What has happened to me in the 7 years, it's accelerated my state of where I am and how I operate now, even outside of the ashram. The ashram is so energized that when you're in there, even if you're not a meditator, you don't have any spiritual format in your body, you can't miss it. It goes into your system in a certain way. And then the minute you step out, you see the difference. So this kind of culminated me into this idea, okay, so somewhere all of this has got to compose itself into something tangible in terms of a way of life. Now, I don't look at my career anymore. I'm looking at a vocation, which is a way of life where I'm transmitting. I'm not delivering anything to anybody that they don't already know or aware of. All I'm doing is I've opened my channel. Something is transmitting through me. I can offer it to somebody and they take and it opens them up. That's how I see it. So when I was looking into this, I thought about integrative medicine as a benchmark of where I can operate from. Googled, first thing that came up was quantum. And somehow intuitively I felt that this felt right. It was based in Hawaii. I thought, okay, this is nice. Not just from the pretty sounds of Hawaii or the ambience, but I believe there is something very fundamental on this piece of earth which will activate these systems in a certain way. So I think the fact that Dr. Paul is based here, it's not really a coincidence. I think it was navigated for him to be here because there is something very profound happening on this piece of earth. I saw his picture. I didn't know anything about him, his synopsis of his career, nothing. I was not interested. I looked at the man, and the man has a mission. I understand that. I like it. There's a determination and a mission, and I want to work with someone like that. These two things felt right. I didn't even go and explore anywhere else. So the next thing was, what do I do with it? And the next thing was, okay, the most obvious thing to do for me, based on what I have, is to actually engage in a PhD, a focused piece of research in integrating all of what I know and want to do. And where is the platform? This is it. And that was it, really. It's the first time in my life I've made a decision based on no in-depth research, just on intuition. And this is where I've landed today. This is the first time I'm in this platform where I'm seeing people, because up until now it's been a very online journey. And you won't believe it. I took this course online. I live in a space where there is no Wi-Fi and there is limited internet capacity. And I thought, how on earth am I going to do this? And you won't believe it, I didn't even have an iPad. I couldn't afford to have an iPad, actually, because I haven't been working and my financial capacity is different. The money to pay for this course has somehow arrived. An iPad was given to me by one of the students at Quantum to say, okay, we're going to feed all the lectures in there for you so you can have access to it at any time without needing Wi-Fi. So that landed on my lap. I didn't, so there were so many things actually which could have gone against me, prevented me, if I was logically thinking about doing this course, not to do it. But it's arrived. And I didn't even think I was going to make it here to the Congress, and I'm here. I got wheeled into being a captain, which, I don't know why, but anyway, here I am. And so, you have to listen to the voices of nature and synchrony and the pathways it's taking you through. I don't know where it goes from here, but I certainly know this is a platform which is going to take me from somewhere. And I'm sure I'm getting something back from Dr. Paul and his team, but I'm sure I'm going to give something back. It's not, I don't believe it's a one-way street. It's an exchange which is happening. And I feel that everybody that I'm seeing around in this space is doing exactly that. I see this beautiful kind of pulse happening between people. So it's a wonderful journey. It's a wonderful journey, and I would say that it's not just an academic institution with an academic course. There is much more available here, but it's open enough that if you are bringing a gift, you can actually probably have a platform to express a gift and give it some scientific context and have an academic evaluation with it, so you can go out in the world and not just be some new agey, but somebody who can substantiate what they feel and what they can bring to this platform of integrative medicine. I think my favorite part is the interplay of science versus the unknown, the quantum field, which has always been exciting for me. Now we're moving into a world where the technologies are supporting some of the things that we have understood in terms of the esoteric world. So I like that. We're bridging that gap, and I think that's the favorite part. And then to have so many people available who are looking into the intricacies of how we're bridging this. It's incredible how many different types of people are coming into this to bridge this. And it's an exciting time because it seems to be an acceptable format, because we're running out of things in mainstream medicine, so we're moving into what else is there. And I know that the esoteric or the unknown field is not something which everyone can access, So it's really lovely to have a bridge where we can actually delve into this and say, actually, you know what, this is a possibility for you, because I believe the unknown is a possibility for everybody. It's just they just don't know how to get there. And I feel like quantum is leaving breadcrumbs. So you pick up the breadcrumbs and somewhere your journey will unfold and you'll find your way. I am Quantum University. Thank you.